Last season, Joel Embiid came second place to Nikola Jokic in MVP voting. The season before that, Joel Embiid came in second place to Nikola Jokic in MVP voting. And this season, it is looking quite a bit like Joel Embiid will come in second place to Nikola Jokic in MVP voting. And why is that? Well, to put it simply, as much as Joel Embiid fans might fight this notion, it's because Nikola Jokic is better. And that has been really unfortunate for Embiid and his personal trophy room, but it is not something that we have not seen before, and it's also not nearly as big of a deal as many seem to think it is. Let's talk about it. Before we get into today's video, I want to talk about this video's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Obviously, you have already heard of this game before. You've been told about its awesome collection of over 700 unique champions, a super detailed and tactical RPG battle system, and its incredible graphics. And if that's not enough to impress you, let me tell you more. Raid releases new updates every month, and the last one was for Valentine's Day, adding a ton of Valentine's-themed heroes from Raid. Here are my 3 personal favorites. There's Yumiko, who is as deadly as she is beautiful. There is Seducer, who is absolutely jacked. It's probably best to avoid him. And there is Cupidus. He dresses head to toe in pink, but do not be fooled. He will show his strength to anyone who doubts him. New players can enjoy a special Valentine's Day themed adventure with the Raid Love Quest. All you need to do to get involved is download Raid from the links below, copy your in-game player ID, and then head to raidlovequestplarium.com. Once you're there, enter your player ID and set out on this heartfelt quest, running from now till March 14th. Play one of the Valentine's-themed minigames for a chance to win some fantastic in-game and real-life prizes, including Valentine's Day-themed Raid champions, and even Amazon gift cards worth up to $1,000. And if you're an old Raid player, you can still share the love too. Use a special promo code Saint Valentine 23 that everyone can use to get a small Valentine's gift from us to you. With all of this exciting stuff and more coming to Raid, if you haven't started playing yet, then what are you waiting for? Use the link in the description or scan this QR code to get insane bonuses. Thank you to Raid for sponsoring this video. I've been second my whole life. I was the second best player in high school. I was the second pick in the draft. I've been second in the MVP voting 3 times. I came in second in the finals. I'm tired of being second. That is a quote from Kevin Durant back from when he was in OKC, talking about how he was pretty much always coming up second place to LeBron James. In 2010, 2012, and 2013, Kevin Durant placed second in MVP voting, right behind LeBron James. 3 times getting second place, this time 3 times in 4 years, but not 3 times in a row. You can see where that parallel exists. It's practically one-to-one the same experience that Joel Embiid has had throughout the last couple of years. Kevin Durant was pretty much always unanimously being talked about as definitely the second best player in the league. Even in his 2014 MVP campaign, which I still believe is one of the most underrated individual seasons of all time, Kevin Durant would still be pretty much universally considered the second best player in the league to LeBron James. I remember the discussion at the time, even though I was only 14 years old, believe it or not. But at the time, while Kevin Durant was ridiculous, the media and NBA fans were like, yeah, Kevin Durant's ridiculous, but let's not fool ourselves. LeBron James is the best player in basketball. And the thing about that, as unfortunate as it was for Kevin Durant, as unfortunate as it was that he had this season and that was still the case, it also wasn't wrong. LeBron was still definitely the better player between the two, and though he didn't become second place in MVP voting this time around, we still knew where his place was relative to LeBron. So, we've established Kevin Durant spent a large chunk of his career, especially early on in his career, pretty much constantly in the shadow of a player that was just better than them. So okay, that's a fun coincidence, but what exactly is the point here? Well, let's consider what what this relationship to LeBron always being second place actually did to Kevin Durant's career. Let's just take a look at how this really negatively affected him. It didn't really. Like, Kevin Durant is pretty much universally considered a top 15 player of all time, and me personally, maybe I'm crazy for this, but I don't think maybe one or two of those MVPs swinging in a different direction instead is gonna result in Durant jumping so much higher on all-time lists. So being second place, not half bad. Kevin Durant ultimately did not win 4 MVPs, but he would win 1. He's still going to score 30,000 points in his career. He made multiple All-NBA and All-Star teams, is recognized as possibly the greatest scorer of all time, and he's definitely up there. So like, quit your bitching, Sixers fans. I'm sorry, that's the point of the video for real, is that it's actually not that important for Joel Embiid or his legacy that he is consistently falling in second place.
Greetings, Rusty Bucketers. Your favorite editor, Rudy St. Clair here. Tune into our podcast tonight. It's live, like right after this video comes out. So go to the Shoot Around YouTube page, subscribe to that, turn on notifications, and if you'd missed the live pod, you'll get the next one. We're live every week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, something like that. Normally Thursday. We're trying to do Thursdays. So tune into that for me, pretty please. Thanks.
There seems to be this deep insecurity among Joel Embiid and Sixers fans that stems from these consistent second places. And I do get it. If you're a fan of an individual player and you see them coming just short to a really important achievement consistently, it can be frustrating. However, if you ask any other person who does NBA content, whether it is at a mainstream level or does it on YouTube or whatever, and you ask them which player's fan base has the biggest crybaby sensitive fan base of all, we all have the same answer because we've been at the end of it. And it's really not necessary. Where this insecurity comes from, what these fans are worried about happening with Joel Embiid, I really don't think is going to happen. I see a lot of fans suggest this notion that Joel Embiid's legacy is being tarnished because of what Nikola Jokic is achieving. And because the spotlight's on him, people are going to forget Joel Embiid or whatever. But I could not disagree more. Has Kevin Durant been forgotten? I don't think so. Again, universally recognized as a top 15 player of all time by pretty much everybody. Now, of course, Nikola Jokic is not LeBron, but if things do go right over the next decade or so of his career, I could see Jokic being like maybe top 15 of all time. Certainly not really arguably the GOAT, but he is going to be an all-time great player who will retire super high on all-time ranking lists. And guess what? So will Joel Embiid. He might be 10 to 15 spots lower like KD is to LeBron, but that's still not a bad place to be in the slightest. There is so much room in the spotlight. Sure, only one player gets MVP every year, but these last few years, in the regular season at least, we're going to specifically remember the MVP battles that these two players had. And while ultimately Joel Embiid has fallen short, possibly soon to be 3 times now, that's not going to be erased from history. Sure, it might require looking at it a little bit deeper than just the very surface level, but I think you can entrust NBA fans to do that. And I'm not one to say entrust NBA fans to do anything usually, but in this case, I think that's perfectly reasonable. Yeah, it would obviously help Embiid's legacy to win an MVP, and I would not be shocked if he eventually did, similar to Kevin Durant. But Joel Embiid's not going to be forgotten. He's not going to be not recognized as an all-time talent. He's not going to be not recognized as one of the greatest players of all time by the time that he retires. He is already building up an impressive resume, and MVP or no, it's very clear that he is a superstar all-time talent. We're all aware of this, and Sixers fans seem to continue to project this notion that we're not, that we're leaving Joel Embiid behind to be forgotten by history, but it's not gonna happen, okay? Yeah, Argue all you want about who should win MVP. I'm fine with that, but this notion that there's just some significant bias against Joel Embiid, or that NBA media or fans or personalities on YouTube or whatever are like trying to hold him down, it's not true. It's some shit that you're making up in your head, and it's really annoying for the rest of us, so please stop it. And in the case of Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid, you can take comfort in knowing that that's going to be the case. Joel Embiid's legacy is not going anywhere. He's still going to be remembered quite fine, and I really don't think that this constant whining is necessary. If anything, I think you guys are hurting Joel Embiid's case and hurting the notion to keep him remembered because you're so freaking annoying all the time. But yeah, that is it. Shout out to Rudy for editing the video, and goodbye.